Well, people have been complaining about balance. They've been complaining about mechanics. They've been complaining about a lot of things with Street Fighter 6, although still saying, hey, it's one of the best Street Fighters ever. But I was thinking, what if I could change something about this game? Would I be most focused on changing? What part of it do I not like the most right now? There are 2-hit kills in this game. And your mind is immediately going to go to one particular character, I'm sure, Marissa, because she is the biggest culprit of getting these 2-hit kills. And I'm not making an argument that we should nerf Marissa uniquely. I appreciate the fact that her advantage is that she hits harder than anybody else. So maybe she has to hit fewer times to kill you than the rest of the cast. But I don't think it should be 2. It's hard for me to buy 3. I'm thinking somewhere closer to 4, maybe 3 for the character that does it especially well. But it's not so much that that's not a good way to balance a character. It's not a good way to balance a game if the game is not intended to be a 1 or 2 touch deciding factor game. So I'll start there. I have more to say on it, but John, did you have any reactions or thoughts on this?
Yeah, this is pretty much the history of Street Fighter, where the initial vanilla release of the game is too high damage, and they end up tweaking the damage later on down the road. I think we're going to be in for a similar thing here, but I can't agree more that the two touch into death is just too much. JP and Marissa are the 2 characters that are the biggest culprits there, that I see the most clips of it online, and it's just, even as a JP main, I'm like, that's, it's a little too much. Like,
I don't want to have to learn how to do that long of a combo, so let's down
I don't
want to
win that easily. Come on, Capcom, make it harder, make it a challenge, please.
But yes, I agree that the damage is a little bit too skewed, and again, there's a lot of ways that you can do that. I think the main way they're going to address it is with the new property added to this game, which is combo and starter scaling on moves. So moves like Cammy's, like crouching medium kick, have unique scaling on them that basically they start the scaling much sooner than it otherwise would happen, and damage scaling in this game has like 50 different rules to it. I think it's actually literally 50. There's so many things in there that happen. So I'm pretty much on board with this, that there should be a little more toning down of the damage kind of universally.
Steve EventHubs, do you have any notes on the subject?
On the surface, I think I agree with that, but also in the case of Marissa, she was the other character that I just got to master. After playing as her, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm fully on board with that, for that character in particular. JP, absolutely do not let that character get 2-touch wins. That's ridiculous.
What did I say, guys? All roads lead to how JP is advantaged.
Look at everything that character has. He doesn't also need 2-touch wins.
Absolutely.
But Marissa, on the other hand, playing that character,
she needs it. Oh
no.
We have a she needs it person in the group.
It's not that she needs it, but it's kind of the whole thing that she does. And there are other factors that don't regularly get considered when we talk about this subject. Where the main complaint that people have is after she does a level 3 combo, a big level 3 combo, she automatically corners the opponent. If they're in burnout and if they don't have any super stock, she gets a guaranteed drive impact into stun. That's your 2-touch, right? But it's a lot of things that have to...
That's one version of the 2-touch, yes.
That is the main complaint people have that I've seen. It's usually that setup, and it's very specific, and it's I go back to the meter management in this game. If you're playing against Marissa and you're not saving a bar of super with most characters, you're probably doing it wrong for that reason. On the other side of things, Marissa has to save up that level 3, and she gets it for that one round. Sure, she can. I don't see that as being the biggest issue, because if you save that meter and you save your super for that last round because you want that 2-touch, maybe you should let her have it, because she's using all of her resources to do it. And if she does that in the first, I guess she's not going to do that in the first round because she wouldn't have level 3. But to me, it's kind of like, if that's what you want to save your super for as that character, that's not the biggest deal to me. Now, does it suck to get hit with? Absolutely. But her gameplay, her game plan is so straightforward, and it feels a lot more limited than you think it does, so that when you get that, it's like, yeah, you let her have it. She got it. She did the big combo. Those combos aren't easy to do either. They're pretty tough to do when you're in the thick of it. Let her have it. I kind of felt like,
Look, I don't care which character it is. And like I said at the beginning of this, I think Marissa's role as the higher damage character and therefore the fewer touches to win character is valid, and we should keep that intact. Don't think that we should just nerf her damage. I think that 2 touches is the problem. Any character that can do it, because Street Fighter is not traditionally a 2-touch kind of game. It's the same spirit as to when people say that certain games need to be 3 out of 5 matches in tournament brackets instead of 2 out of 3. And indeed, there's even been a bit of that about Street Fighter 6. Not a ton, but we've heard of people saying that kind of a thing. It's out there in the ether for sure. That's because the idea is we haven't explored the skill of the 2 players in the competition enough to get a true answer. There's too much of a potential for randomness because of how fast or how quickly this thing is over. In the case of Marvel vs. Capcom 3, people decided, yeah, well, you're pretty much expecting to one-hit kill most of these characters and stuff is going to go by quickly. And because we want to find out in competition, not party mode, 1-hit, 2-hit kills is fine, but competition-wise, you want to find out who's the better player today, specifically through a series of interactions. And of course, everyone would, if you could do a 1st to 10 for every match, then that would give you the most clear answer. But people have to, accept that there's a time limit on this stuff. And it feels to me like Street Fighter 6, by the way, I'm good with 2 out of 3, but I think that it's not okay if we have 2-hit kills factored into all that, because it's just not enough in the individual atmosphere of a round to decide who was better that round. 2 touches is just not this kind of game. That's not this expectation. So make Marissa kill you in fewer touches. That's fine, but don't make it 2. Make it 3, maybe 4.
I've got a follow-up question for both of you guys. I did some testing with Zangief, and he can take an entire health bar, 10,000 health, with 2 heavy SPDs and 1 OD SPD, no punish counter. Is that unfair? Is that too much?
That's 3 touches.
That's 3 special moves. That's not combos. That's not using super. That's not using only 2 bars of meter is what you're essentially doing there. Is that okay?
3 is on the line for me, but with how often Zangief does that, you could argue it. I'd be okay if it were 4. But Zangief has the obvious disadvantages of his slow movement and his bigger hurt boxes. So, yeah, that's part of the equation there. So far, I haven't seen. Well, I mean, that's really all I need to say about it. But no, I don't think Zangief should kill in 2 hits either.
It shouldn't be 2 hits.
And 3 is pushing it.
What I'm getting at here is that when you play these characters and you understand more about how it feels to actually play them, how hard it is to get their stuff off, when I look at that with Marissa, I go, it's pretty tough, man. I'm not saying
it's
she's
not
the worst
hard
character.
to get Marissa's stuff off, man. People just mashing out like medium punch on wake up, and it catches you because you're worried about something else, and then that translates all the way into you're in the corner. And you didn't counter a jump in.
And now we're going full circle.
Stuff happens all the time.
We're going full circle again, and here we go back on the merry-go-round. Go in and play Marissa, and tell me if you still have those same thoughts after you play her for a while. Because again, when you get in there and you understand this stuff from that point of view, it's very different. That's my whole point.
Well, I can't say that I've played her yet, and maybe I will, and then prove myself from that point of view. But I do have that recently 801 Strider, a strong, not S tier, but he's been in Capcom Cup a handful of times, very relevant, very strong player, competitor, has recently switched to Marissa, and he was doing his tier list. And when he got to the point where he's talking about her, he's like, this isn't to say she's top tier, but that she is some BS, and I'm losing all of a round there's so many times I'm losing, and then I get that one hit and it doesn't matter, and the whole game came down to that one hit, and that still gets to that idea that my central problem with this.
No,
it's not a nuanced enough competition to get the information out of it that we want when people like Marissa or JP are doing this BS.
Right. And again, it's the way that I kind of look at Marissa is she's got the grappler mentality. She's not a grappler, but it's the same idea of when you find that opening and you make it count, you get the win. That's kind of how I see her. Now, again, I'm not saying that 2 touches need to be in this game, but I'm talking specifically for Marissa. There's more to it. There's more to it than just, this character just does 1 whiff punish and it's 2 touches and there's so much more to it. And that's my point. It's when you get into the thick of this stuff, and John, Velociraptor, you even said before, like Capcom has thought of a lot of this stuff in terms of balance, and they have been doing this stuff with purpose, right? That's kind of what I'm going to with this. It's like there's more to this here, where again you see that Twitter clip and you go, oh my god, she's killing so quickly. She got 1 crouching medium punch and it was over, right? But you get into the thick of it, and it's like how often that's actually happening isn't that often, and then how hard it is to actually do that. Again, I just played this character. Like I struggled with Marissa's combos way more than I struggled with anything I did with JP. And JP's juggle stuff is not easy to do, and especially when you get to the higher stuff, sure. But man, I did not struggle with his combos hardly at all. Marissa's, I was dropping them left and right because you have to change your charge timing. You have to make sure you got the proper juggles. Things change in the corner and mid-screen and all these different things. Plus, Street Fighter 6's inputs are terrible. So you get random supers, you get all this other stuff thrown in there.
Foreshadowing.
Yes, exactly. Like we know what we're doing, right? But it's just, there's so much to that I can't just sit here and go, yeah, no, 2 touches for Marissa are not okay, because I just played her and I'm like, that was also partly why I wanted to play her. I'm like, let me see.
So are you okay with a 2-touch Street Fighter experience?
Not overall. I don't think that's something that should be a rule, but I can see an argument for if there's a character that's what they do and that's their whole thing. If, again, I look at that as
so why not make it 3 where everybody else has to do more than that? I'm saying, and I guess maybe I didn't make this clear at the beginning, but my solution to this is an overall damage nerf that we've seen, similar to what happened in like the global nerfs of SF5's V-trigger activations and crush counters getting nerfed on their scaling. And then in Street Fighter 4, from vanilla to super, many characters had significant damage nerfs in some of their key combo, ender, or continuing moves. And that was a big deal there. The damage, the overall damage came down. I think that needs to happen, and Marissa still enjoys the fruits of being the hardest hitting character. Again, I don't know if we're really disagreeing, but like my problem is 2. It's just that number. Okay. It's not Marissa. It's not the way Marissa works. It's not how easy or hard it is for Marissa to do it. It's 2. And I don't like 2. And it sounds like you're okay with saying, yeah, 2 is not legit for my Street Fighter experience either.
If we're talking about an overall change to the entire game where everything is getting scaled back because people are just doing way too much damage and Marissa ends up being, like you said, maybe it's 3 touches now, I'm totally fine with that. What I'm more defending here with my argument is the current state of things. And we look at those characters and we go, okay, Marissa's this menace, is doing 2 touches and it's ridiculous.
That was the last segment, dude. That was play another character so you can appreciate them. That's not this segment.
That is, I wanted to clarify. Like, again, if we're talking an overall change to the game, that's a very different thing. If that's where we're going with stuff, I'm on board for that. But I'm just talking about the current state of things. And we're talking about Marissa in general. I just go, yeah, I'm still, even then, I'm still not saying that I think she needs to have the 2-touch stuff, but I can see why she does now after playing it. That is my point.
John, have you been able to say anything about this so far?
I'm just sitting back and watching
John's
everything.
Still here.
This is behind the scenes of like how EventHubs has worked for the last, 15 years, and the people having arguments and going back and forth and whatnot, the friendships that have ended. This is now in front of the entire YouTube audience, so I'm hoping everyone's enjoying this. I certainly am. This is wonderful. But yeah.
Meet me in the Super Arcade parking lot, Velociraptor. Yep. I'll see you there.
First to 5.
First to 5, baby.
John, did you have anything you wanted to say about Marissa being a way overpowered character?
I think that what Velociraptor is saying here, especially playing against someone the level of 801 Strider, is that when you play against someone who basically twist the game's rules in their favor, shout outs to JP players, you've experienced stuff in a whole different way. You experience it in a way that's so oppressive and so crazy, and you're like, what legitimately can I do against this? And shout out to Dream King here, who played Abigail when he was busted in season 3 and said, this is a totally fair character, and I can kill you one time. And you definitely...
He said that? He said Abigail season 3 was a totally fair character?
I did not say that. He definitely conflating that. And also, I played Abigail since season 2, since he first dropped, so they buffed my character. I didn't switch to him. Come on, man. You gotta...
When you guys were talking about that, did Steven say Abigail was better or worse than JP at the time?
Oh, JP was worse, man. Nobody's better than JP, right?
But anyway,
Abigail didn't enjoy that privilege. Okay, go ahead.
I was playing Manat at the time, who was also a super privileged character in that game, and that matchup was super divisive, where one hit could literally decide the entire thing. For Abigail, and for Manat, I definitely had to hit him like 50 times, but he also said, like, your ability to hit me so many more times is so much easier than my ability to hit you once. And I'm like, okay, makes sense, right? So when you start unpacking the games at that level, you start to get all this nuance and all this other kind of stuff that's kind of crazy that a lot of people don't have to experience, because most people are like, oh, I played Marissa once and now I'm never going to see her again because I'm playing ranked, and now I'm going to see a million GPs and other stuff like that. There's so much stuff that goes into this that the discussion is very interesting here, and it's why I'm curious about both viewpoints, and I don't think either one of you guys are dead right or dead wrong, you know, kind of thing. It's I'm seeing valid
Thanks,
points.
Dad.
I'm seeing valid points from both sides. And yeah, but I do agree that the two-touch stuff is generally a bad look for a Street Fighter game. That's mostly for Marvel. Marvel's more one-touch, especially if you're playing
Or Samurai
Zero.
Showdown, or whatever.
Yeah.
If your game is designed to be that way, fine. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed that bit of Street Fighter 6 banter from that episode of Talk and Block. If you'd like to see more like it, you can right here. And if you'd like to see the whole episode once it goes live, it'll appear right here.